let's talk about the Wes Anderson directed short that's nominated for Best Live Action Short this year with the wonderful story of Henry Sugar. This is available on Netflix if you wanted to watch it, as well as other shorts. So this was part of kind of one of the first announced things after Netflix bought the Roald Dahl Story Company for $686 million, which is a lot of money. Like the Matilda movie they played last Christmas, this was another one of them, and he made a series of shorts. Originally, we heard that this was going to be a feature of several shorts, but then Wes Anderson decided to cut them up into very short, so you get 4 different ones. There is a book called Henry Sugar. That's a collection of short stories. Only 2 of those were made into shorts. This and The Swan. The other 2 are just like short stories from different. They appeared in magazines and were in different collections. They are not all from the same story. I know some people say that, but if you just like look it up, it's pretty obvious they're not. But anyway, what is this? So this is about a man played by Benedict Cumberbatch, alleged Cumberbatch. No, Benedict Cumberbatch. And he is going through his library, finds a thin book and starts reading it. And then the story sort of takes place within the story of this book, as Dev Patel is telling us. This man played by Ben Kingsley. This is a lot of stars, including Ralph Fiennes, who's then telling us. So first off, it's like Ralph Fiennes is telling us how this rich dude, it goes to the library, finds this thin book, then the book opens, and then we're basically seeing the story from the book, or Benedict Cumberbatch reading the book, and we see Dev Patel, who's a doctor, is told that Ben Kingsley shows up. He's sort of a circus sideshow guy, and he likes to have his whole face wrapped up with medical tape because he's a man who can see without his eyes. How he does this, we do not know, but he's able to do so. And then he does that. Dev Patel and Richard Ayoade, who is a big fan of Wes Anderson. I believe he made a movie that's very influenced by Wes Anderson. So it was interesting he was there. But they wrapped him up and he's able to see and do all this stuff. And Dev Patel is very interested in him and learning about him. And he tells him how through meditation and through concentration, he was able to slowly learn these powers and stuff. And he eventually dies randomly before they can really learn more about how this happened. And Benedict Cumberbatch is so enthralled by this story. This is very much a story within a story, much like Asteroid City. He decides to do it too, and he then takes on those things. My thing with this is, I did not grow up as a Roald Dahl kid. I have nothing against him as an author. I mean, I know there's definitely things I could have problems with him as an author. And I get that Wes Anderson wanted to do this, and I understand if you're a big director and you see a studio spending a ton of money on this IP, you're like, hey, I've always wanted to make sort of an offbeat, different sort of Roald Dahl thing, and you can do it. I totally get why he would want to do this, and there are certain people who will just take advantage of those things, and I think Wes Anderson got to do his own weird Wes Anderson thing. The thing is with this is, and I keep coming back to this, when I was watching it, I was thinking about it, and even though it's cool, it's like it has a Jarvis Cocker cameo. Pulp is very big in my household. We have 2 Pulp posters framed, so obviously it's pretty cool for that. Although Jarvis Cocker, I believe, was involved in Asteroid City, but he actually shows up in this, and I was like, oh, there's that guy. My wife loves Pulp. They're a great band. You should check out Different Class and This Is Hardcore, and all their big albums are really good. But I fail to see the point in this, and that's kind of something that kind of stuck out to me, is because what is the point of this? It just seems like a style exercise for Wes Anderson. Now, is he really good at doing a style exercise? Abso-fucking-lutely. He's Wes Anderson. He's wonderful at that. But as I'm watching it, I just don't get like what's the point of the story? Like, it's a cool story, and it's like through concentration, yes, you can learn amazing things, and I do believe in meditation, all those things. But at the same time, I'm like, well, what? Like, Asteroid City had a point, was saying larger things about like having a story within a story, and like legend and tale and play and all those things, and was like very interesting about that. And this is just like being quirky and kooky for the sake of it. I do sort of would like Wes Anderson to have an Oscar. That would be great. That would be wonderful. I think he's a director and a creative person who definitely, in terms of the history of film, deserves to have an Oscar. And I'm sure maybe they'll just give it to him because they sort of know his name and he's involved in this. I don't know the short categories as well. However, I just don't get the point of this. Like, I liked Asteroid City. Like, I like a lot of his stuff. And I just, like, this was a fun watch, but it was like, I don't understand the point of this story, ultimately. And, you know, I didn't grow up as a Roald Dahl person, and maybe if I did, I'd be more excited by this. I mean, I thought it was fun and it was fine, but it just occurred to me as like, well, is the point is like all these people concentrated and learn this ability, but it's not like they learned this ability and saw things about life and like things about the beauty of life. It feels like they isolated themselves from society to learn this thing, but then like it's not about how like they wasted their lives necessarily like learning this ability. And like, what does it say about creativity and concentration and taking on hobbies and learning these things and stuff? It doesn't say that. It's just like it's just like, look at this amazing ability, but like ultimately what's the point of that? And I think that's like kind of the glaring error of this whole thing. Now, seeing Wes Anderson do sort of a style interesting exercise, still fun to watch. Like, that's always fun to watch. I like his sort of like dollhouse diorama shit. Awesome, wonderful. Like, I absolutely love watching that. But I do think Wes Anderson works better when he has a thesis or a point to what he's saying. And also if that point is actually worthwhile, because I have noticed in some of his points, you get to it, you're just like, what the fuck is this? So I do think without a point, it's just a style exercise and an adaptation of a story. And maybe I'm not the biggest Roald Dahl person, so it was like meant diddly shit to me. However, I do think he did a good job with it. It seemed like a good adaptation of the story. I thought it was interesting. In terms of like watching the style of it. But I think Wes Anderson is not just a style guy. He's not just about style. He's a storyteller, and I think as a storyteller, he faithfully adapted it. But I think he's better at actually saying something with the stories other than, look, Ma, I adapted a Roald Dahl story. Good for you, but where's the fucking story? It's not here, but it was fun watching him kind of be Wes Anderson and do all that style. It was entertaining, but I think I wish there was a little bit more to Wes Anderson than just that, and this played more like the cliche of what people say of Wes Anderson than the actual guy who's an actual storyteller, which was not on display from this. All I got was Roald Dahl was a storyteller, and I didn't actually understand why he even wrote this story in the first place.